How crews are locating a tiny black box in a massive ocean. What you should know about bitcoins. And marking a somber anniversary in Rwanda. Welcome to Globe Now. I'm Affan Chowdhry. This is the latest hope in the search for Malaysia Flight 370, an underwater black box finder. Think of it as a super-sensitive microphone, called a hydrophone, that is dropped into the ocean and towed by a ship moving at slow speed. Searchers hope this microphone will pass near enough to the plane's black box and pick up a series of pings that are sent out by the black box. And that is what happened over the weekend. A Chinese patrol ship detected those unique black box pings Friday and Saturday. It happened again on Sunday, this time 600 kilometers away. An Australian ship picked up the signals at a depth of 4.5 kilometers below the sea's surface. Searchers are calling it the most promising lead so far, after they tracked the pings for 2 hours and 20 minutes before losing the signal. Just one problem. Batteries on the black box have a life of about 30 days, meaning the batteries are about to run out any day now. And when they run out, those pings will stop. In a few days, Bitcoin believers will congregate in Toronto for the first ever Canadian Bitcoin Expo. If you're new to this digital currency, you probably have a few questions. Report on Business reporter Jeff Gray, who recently wrote about this, joins us now to give us a primer. Welcome, Jeff.
Thanks, Affan.
Well, a lot of people read your article and they have questions, and here's a reader with a couple of questions. Let's focus on the first one. When you pay cash to exchange for Bitcoins, where does the cash go?
Yeah, everyone asks this is because it's this internet currency, but the simple answer is it goes to whoever you buy those Bitcoins from. Some people buy them from Bitcoin exchanges, and some exchanges might have Bitcoins on hand that they can dole out to users, or you might be buying it from an individual that you find through one of those exchanges.
And those actual Bitcoins, where do those end up?
Well, where are they? They're not, there's nothing there, right? They are digital. They're just long math problems, but they end up in your digital wallet, of course.
And what do people use the Bitcoins to buy?
Well, you can actually, there's a growing number of small businesses. I think some of them, it's a marketing thing where you can actually in Toronto here, you can find a restaurant where you can pay for your meal in Bitcoins. But you can also buy other things. The idea, I think, for a lot of people is internet commerce around the world instantly with internet money.
Right, so it's like wiring cash, basically.
Remittances are a big idea for the business. They think that would be one place where they could actually make money with Bitcoins is taking over some of that business.
But there's also a speculative aspect of this. People want to invest in Bitcoin. What is the number one danger there? Well,
I mean, all the headlines about Mt. Gox, which was the largest Bitcoin exchange based in Tokyo, it went under. They blame hackers. $500 million in Bitcoins went missing. So obviously hackers, the newness of this currency, that's the hugest risk you've got there. Plus the volatility. It was worth $1,200 a few months ago. It's worth $450 today, I think. So it's not for the faint of heart.
But there are people who want to get into it and meddle in it a little bit. What's your number one advice to them?
Well, I think my investment advisor would say, don't get into this. I'm a pretty conservative investor, right? But if it's something, if you're an early adopter, you're an enthusiast for the technology, maybe put a little bit of money in it and see what happens. But I don't think banking on your retirement plan that Bitcoin's going to go back up. We're not at that point yet. And a lot of the people who are really excited about Bitcoin, the techno people that I've spoken to, they are less about the investing and more about the possibilities of digital currency with no borders.
Interesting. Thank you so much, Jeff.
Thanks.
Well, we want to know what you think, so tweet us at Globe Now. What do you think of Bitcoin? And now we look back in time. Today marks the 20th anniversary of a dark day in the history of Rwanda. Over 800,000 people were killed in the Rwandan genocide in 1994. We caught up with one doctor who worked in the country during that time to get her reflections. A warning, this video does contain graphic images.
My name is Rachel Kidal-Monroe. I was head of mission for Médecins Sans Frontières, Doctors Without Borders, in Goma and Rwanda during the Rwandan genocide in 1994. There's a picture that I have which is of a bunch of people carrying a woman in a stretcher with a huge machete wound on her shoulder. And she was one of the few survivors that came out of Rwanda into DRC. It took, on a personal level, it took many, many years for me to be able to even speak about Rwanda. I saw other people being able to do it, and I always sort of wondered, how do they do that? How can they talk about it? And for me, I sort of had this little box in my head that at some point I just closed it because I just couldn't really deal with it all. There's so much guilt, especially I was, standing in Goma, no one was coming to Goma. And I knew what was happening just on the other side of that little border post that I stood next to every day. And the guilt of not being able to actually do something, of not being able to go in, is pretty overwhelming. So it's taken me all this time to really be able to say, okay, now I'm ready to talk about it. And that's 20 years later. It was really amazing to go back to Rwanda, to see this now as a country that has really got back onto its feet. And that now, after 20 years, it's really become a place that's busy and active and is booming. The economy is growing. And then I look at a place like DRC where nothing is happening. You realize the difference that international attention can make, that international investment and focus on a country. It's dangerous sometimes to do it, but it's so important. So that's a lesson that I've learned, is that solidarity, that being with people and that speaking out is really, really critical.
Well, that's it for Globe Now. Thanks so much for watching. Tweet us your thoughts and questions on today's program. Thanks again. I'm Affan Chowdhry.